Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. I am the Tiki, and I speak for the trees.
And I'm BlueDragonFive.
You speak for the trees, Dragon?
I speak for the number 5, Tiki.
Oh, God. Okay. So, Dragon, it's getting close to Arbor Day here in the States. It's officially Earth Day right now, actually, but we didn't want to line up doing this precisely with Arbor Day because, well, let's just say there's going to be the ending is in sight for both the this current brand of the MCU and also Gotham. It's just like a 1-2 punch for us, Dragon. It's just like Lord knows how many of our favorite comic book characters are going to get killed off by the end of this week.
God only knows. But, again, this week, the point is this whole week, essentially, depending which region you hail from, I suppose, which kind of the special gets to the heart of. Arbor Day and Earth Day, again, kind of very planet healthy, kind of like, the trees, definitely an environmental theme to this week. So, always want to make sure we get it out before Arbor Day, but apparently Arbor Day is a little arbitrary in terms of when it happens. But all that said, we're here to celebrate Arbor Day, and we're here to celebrate the best of ways you can celebrate Arbor Day with the peanuts.
Yeah, so Dragon, I just want to throw out like a ridiculous headcanon scenario for you, all right?
All right.
So imagine that all these years that we've been talking about the Peanut specials, we've been kind of weaving in like, oh, I don't know, like an atop the fourth wall style narrative, you know what I mean, where we have skits and stuff. And the narrative is that like at the beginning where we've got all these treasures, right? We don't know what to do with them all. We're just like, oh my God, it's like we've got Great Pumpkin and it's a Charlie Brown Christmas, and then Tiki comes in and he's like, well, stop everything. I don't care about those two. I'm all about Easter Beagle, man. That's the one I grew up with. And we're all just tra-la-la, and and then of course we mine some stuff from the Valentine's Day special, and the Peanuts movie comes out, and it just blows us all away. But Dragon, I want you to imagine a world where the Peanut specials have dried up, where we've talked about pretty much everything that's worth talking about. And in that world, in this post-apocalyptic environment that I have built up for you, my friend, we come upon a singular movie, a singular special. And we're like, my God, we haven't done this one yet. The holiday's obscure and everyone's going to laugh at it. But it might just be worth our time. That's right, folks. Tonight we're talking about it's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. Ba 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 ba
Dun, dun.
ba ba.
Gotta make an Arbor Day have to be the end times, where in reality it's kind of the beginning of things.
Well, Dragon, I really do feel like, in all seriousness, this is kind of like the end times when it comes to our peanut stuff. It's like, literally, what more is there? It's like there's some weird educational TV shows we could dive into. There's some sequels to holiday specials we can dive into that we're not necessarily looking forward to. But in terms of like original holiday specials, my friend, this might be the last one. This might be the last original one that we haven't talked about yet.
You mean just purely in regards to the peanuts?
I mean, purely in regards to the Peanuts and purely in regards to the Peanuts holiday specials specifically.
Well, that's the thing with the holiday specials. I mean, we have like basically after Arbor Day, and this is not necessarily a knock against Arbor Day. It's just telling you kind of where we're at with the peanuts right now, folks. We've covered all the big stuff, all the big iconic holiday stuff, and now beyond that, there's the again, as Tiki said, there's a few sequels. There's at least two. It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown, which is really just it's like a package film with peanut shorts. Essentially, that's what that is. And then you have you have that, and you have. You have I Want a Dog for Christmas, Charlie Brown, which isn't that bad actually. It's rerun centric. That one's not bad. It's just a little bit modern. But beyond that, you have then we get to basically after that we have a cushion. The sequels aren't that bad. They're just kind of pleasant. Yeah, okay, well there you go. And beyond that, you get to the bottom of the barrel. So the bottom of the barrel stuff, in my opinion, you get like Mayflower and the 4th of July stuff. That's
oh dear, that is the bottom of the barrel stuff. Oh
Like, I
man,
don't even know if it's 4th. I think it's like President's Day. 'Cause it's about the signing of the
something
Declaration.
like that. Yeah.
I was saying, I don't even. I'm not 100% because it's so forgettable, man. It's like the worst thing I've ever seen.
And of course, it's like like full-grown adults talking to the Peanuts. I don't care if they're presidents; it still throws the
That's
whole
the thing.
style
So
off.
that to me, again, it's probably not fair, but just to me, it's heresy, and that makes it the worst by default. Even if it doesn't hold up on a rewatch. I mean, that's to me, that's heresy. That's at the bottom of the bottom.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Dragon, here's the thing, just to kind of get into my thesis statement after my little ridiculous headcanon tangent. I don't know, Dragon, like this is an interesting one. It was a very interesting watch. I actually did take the time to sit down and watch this one twice because I feel like this thing is a little bit of a relic. But by the same token, I feel like this is an interesting kind of like time capsule of where the Peanuts was at the time it was made. Because I feel like it was kind of like in a transitional phase where it was sort of moving away from the very, very traditional stuff, but it wasn't yet towards the god awful like Columbus Day stuff that we got in like the early 90s. I honestly feel like this is kind of an interesting sort of class of its own in terms of holiday specials. Like it's definitely got a charm to it. I feel like the heart is in the right place. I feel like the story foundation is a little shaky, more shaky than usual for a Charlie Brown holiday special. But you know, we'll get into that as we go along. Characterization wise, I think we're just gonna kind of have to give a blanket statement across the board that none of these voice actors, with the exception of maybe Snoopy, sound anything like the original like Christmas Charlie Brown cast. But you know what? I feel like just with Charlie Brown, as the Peanuts movie showed, it doesn't really matter. They don't have to emulate the original performances per se, as long as the writing is on point with the characters. And honestly, with this one, there's not too many characters involved with the plot, but with this being kind of like a Charlie Brown and Peppermint Patty story at the heart of it all, I think it's a good one, Dragon. I think it's a good one. It didn't blow me away. It's certainly not like, oh my God, stop the presses. Like this is way better than Easter Beagle. It's like no. Easter Beagle will always be king, Dragon. I want you to understand that. But I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's kind of where I sit with it, Dragon. It's a nice little watch. It's an interesting relic of its time. I feel like it's got probably some dated messages in it that we'll kind of get into some, but it's a fun time, and I feel like there's some good moments with the characters in it, and there's even some big kind of like, oh my God, like this is something that we've been building up to for a while, and could Charlie Brown actually pull it off? Could this actually happen? And it's Dragon, this is gonna sound ridiculous, all right? This is gonna sound fucking silly as all hell, but I'm gonna do the best I can. Like, I'm not gonna go overboard on this. I'm not gonna frame the whole conversation like this or anything, but I'm going to do the best I can to frame this special as like it's like the ultimate last Charlie Brown holiday special, and they're kind of like laying out all the cards on the table. They're kind of like, all right, we got to resolve the Peppermint Patty arc. We got to resolve the, we've got to give some sort of big closure to Schroeder and Lucy. We have to explore the Sally and Linus dynamic. And I don't know, Dragon. It sounds ridiculous. I know it totally sounds ridiculous, but I feel like there's some air of like this is kind of like an end point for the Peanuts holiday specials, and after this, it's just kind of going to go downhill from here. So it's a little bit melancholy in that regard.
Well, right? I mean, I will remind you that again, chronology-wise, I mean, again, like we still get stuff like Thanksgiving comes after this, and beyond that, then we get like down the line. That's when we start to get stuff like New Year's. Like basically, there's decades of the Peanuts. Like the '70s is the transitional decade for sure. '70s is the year before this. You get
this is the '70s, right?
Yeah, this is '70s. So here's how it goes, Dave. Of course, like the classic, like grade A stuff is in the '60s, like 65 and '66. I think the point is, in the early in the mid '60s, that's where you get Christmas and you get Great Pumpkin. Then the 70s, I believe at 73, I think is well, the point is you get Easter Beagle, you get Valentine's Day, so that's that's 70.
And those two are like both kind of in a class of their own above some of the other stuff, I think.
Yeah, and then Thanksgiving's also in the 70s too. I can't remember, one of them 73, one of them 75. I don't know if Beagle was 75 or 73. The point is that's kind of where
I feel
those
like
three are.
Beagle was 73, but don't quote me on that.
Well, the point is like the seven again, like kind of the mid 70s. This is kind of marking, going off of your theory, I guess. It's like after this point's when we. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff along the way in terms of holiday stuff. I think, yeah, you're somewhat on the money. I don't know if I'd attach like a whole, like, this is the last shot they got at the apple, man. I don't know if I'd go with all that, but it's point being, the point being again, there's definitely 70s seems to be kind of
realistically the Peanuts movie
for the Peanuts, and there is a reason for that, Tegan. I would like to share that with some. Well, I guess on the whole, let me get my little thesis out before I dive into some of the background, but. Just keep it simple with the thesis. This Arbor Day is something I remember having the VHS tape for Arbor Day, and of course, like years later, of course, when we get the DVD sets for the Peanuts, just so they always have them, so you could always watch them annually on an annual basis before having to dig through the VHS tapes. Again with the times changing and everything. They've always done this weird thing when they package the Peanuts thing. It's a good thing. It's something that's always been a little weird, and that they kind of package the main short with the main special with additional ones that kind of relate sometimes to what the main special is. So this, and again, I rarely watch this because I watched it all the way back when. Of course, when I get these DVDs, I'm always focused on the main special, but I kind of completely forgot that, because when I'm going through the specials on an annual basis, like the biggest hits for me are going to be Christmas and Great Pumpkin. And oddly enough, I don't know why this is, because even though when we get to Easter, I don't know why, I never dawned on me that, oh my God, I have the Arbor Day thing. I have one of VHS tapes always staring me in the face, but I have this, right. I have it like ready for the watching. Why have I not watched the Arbor Day thing? It's just staring me in the face.
It's just kind of like this piece of like lost media from your childhood that you never got around to. Like, oh my God, this exists, and I've never seen it.
I've always had it just like right at my my fingertips, essentially. Why have I not tried this? And anyway, so the point being, I've kind of re-experienced it here, and I had a memory of Arbor Day from like the one time I watched it way back when on VHS tape, and it's like, okay, well, it was fine. I remembered the gist of what happens, but I had a little bit of fuzziness in the third act, so I really went into it with fresh eyes, and again, I had a good time with it. Again, oddly enough, when I rewatched Happy New Year, Charlie Brown, that one disappointed me on a rewatch in a way that it never really has before for some reason. Just watching, it's like, yeah, man, I don't know if this holds up as well as it usually does. Because
I remember that one. It was like, it wasn't really terrible per se. Like, there was nothing offensive in it. It was just kind of like bland. You know what I mean? It just felt like it was going through the motions. They weren't really trying to do anything with it.
Well, it's offensive in one regard. Linus is really out of character, and that's the biggest problem.
That's true.
Remember, we were really harsh on it when we talked about it because Linus was so out of character, and that's the thing. It's almost the two things are kind of heresy for the Peanuts. The one thing it's absolute heresy is when you show human faces, when you show adult faces or anything. And of course, by the way, I think it's dawning on me just right now. I think I know. Sorry, forgive me. It's just going to hit me right now. I remember what the deal with that was. So it wasn't just like a 4th of July thing. They did like a series. And it was on a DVD set, which I haven't watched in years because it disappointed me so when I watched it. It was they have it's like a mini series of all historical Peanut shorts, and it's like that has the Mayflower and the Constitution. That's what I'm thinking of. So it's the Mayflower, the Constitution, some other stuff.
Oh man!
And like in the Constitution, that's where they kind of violate the cardinal rule. And I'm just going to guess here, maybe they did that with Mayflower as well. But again, it's been a long while, more than it's been with Arbor Day, honestly. But that's the fact of the matter. So the fact of the matter is, so they have heresy with like showing humans and showing adults in the Peanuts world, and because it's always womp womp womp. And the flip side of that is again when someone's out of character, it can really hurt on a rewatch. I think it's what we
No,
came
yeah,
to.
you're absolutely right. Looking back on that New Year's thing, basically, I'm thinking like throughout the majority of it, it's just kind of like, okay, they're getting ready for a party. It's kind of just like your typical peanut special. It almost was reminding me of the Thanksgiving special a little bit, where it's just like, all right, getting preparations in order, blah blah blah. But then at the very end, it just kind of pulls like a 180 on Linus, and you're just left with like, what? What just happened? What did I watch?
So here's the thing. Here's what I really kind of dawned upon me with Arbor Day, and just kind of I guess transitioning into the background a little bit. That Arbor Day's fine. Arbor Day, it's something that feels just like it's another entry in the Peanuts, but it's not reinventing the wheel. But it was pleasant, and yeah, the voice cast definitely was no. It's low. I don't know if it's like the lowest tier, or maybe it's like a second to last rung out of the holiday specials. But the voice cast. It's not great, but it's always something that the kids age out and they have to recast certain Peanuts, and sometimes it sounds.
I mean, like I said, I think the big factor here is we already illustrated with the New Year's special, is it matters less to get the kid acting like completely on point as much as it matters to get the writing for these iconic characters on point. That's the real challenge for the Peanuts. That's what you really have to nail.
Right, and I feel with New Year's it was a writing issue. Where here it's more of sometimes there's a bit of a sound quality where it's like sometimes like it doesn't sound as consistent as what these characters have sounded like in their more famous iterations with those other earlier installments
But at least there's nothing terribly off-brand with any of it.
Which is true, and again, that's the big plus, the big pro. And again, so there's nothing wrong with Arbor Day. It's just maybe in places it could sound like better, like the way you imagine in your head, like when you check in with these characters. But it's a minor gripe in the grand scheme of things. I want to make that clear. It's just this to me, the Arbor Day feels like a PSA short, a PSA strip for the Peanuts. It's kind of an informative. Basically, what they tried to do with those kind of the mini series I was talking about with the DVD set for like the historical DVD set, like they're trying to be, they're trying to educate people. This feels like a more natural Schultzian education versus using the Peanuts as a brand to kind of be a mouthpiece for what your agenda is. And I mean, in general, like it's like a sinister thing, but what your prerogative is. And that I'm going to transition that into what I think is something that is also something we brought up with New Year's. That also this suffers from, that I believe this is why the 70s was a turning point. So in the 70s, you had the Charlie Brown Snoopy show. So that's when the show got kicked off. It was in the 70s. So around the time these specials are being made. So presumably what's going on is the Peanuts, they're being contracted to do these. We're contracting the Peanuts to do these specials while the comic strip is popular, the merchandise is popular, and doing these specials just kind of like sporadically.
So you're saying that the workload was kind of wearing thin between all the animators, essentially.
In part, Tiki, what I'm really getting at is that I feel the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show is kind of delving into something that kind of occurred to me on the rewatch of Arbor Day. You know what? During this Charlie Brown and Snoopy show period, basically this period onwards, especially getting to the point with New Year's, and definitely getting to the point where we get that kind of U.S. the U.S. history vignette thing. I think it's oversaturation of the Peanuts. I think that might be legit.
Within the actual time frame of the 70s, like within that culture, you're saying.
Yes, and I don't mean that it's not an entirely negative thing, but I think it just shows in terms of what quality is going on here, where again, there might be more of a pressure to they're probably using the same studio, because this more so feels directly what the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show was. But the problems I had with New Year's was that we had these forced in song sequences that felt like something you get on the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show, at least on all the advertising.
And to be fair, this thing does not have any out of place musical numbers. Thank God.
Well, that's true. My point is this is stuff that they would do in the show, and you need padding. Basically you have we're used to, and the best of the Peanuts that we're used to is we have the Peanuts, and they're dealing with like one universal issue, which is the holiday. They're dealing with the holiday and just different facets of the holiday, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's what we traditionally, again, so they all have one unified problem. But of course, with the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show, and this is nothing against it, because bear in mind, it's been years since I've watched it. I don't know if I watched all the episodes, because I don't know how many seasons it went for. If it went for one season, I might have seen them all. If it went for more than that, probably I'm definitely fuzzy on it, to say the least. My point is, you have something like that, and you're running some situational stuff where it's less adapting the comics or the strips. It's less adapting the strips where you can only do so much of that. And of course, the specials did some original stuff along with kind of taking some. It's like Abbott and Costello with all the vaudeville gags that worked into the movies, and vice versa. You just take the same jokes, but you put it in a new setting, which again will work by all means. Like who's on first, everybody loves it. By the same token, it's like sometimes we have Snoopy a writing gag with Snoopy, and of course after you run out of that material, after you run through that material and you're crafting new stuff, then you get into some situational comedy stuff where we're forcing stories onto the Peanuts, and I feel a bit of that kind of bleeds into these holiday specials, where it's not the case of Arbor Day,
but with a concept like Arbor Day, where it's like when you look at something like Christmas or Halloween or even Easter, there's a lot of material to mine from. There's like literal mythology surrounding all those holidays. With Arbor Day, you really get the sense it's like, what the hell are we going to do with Arbor Day? Well, let's see. What does Charlie Brown do that's outside? Okay, he plays baseball. All right, good. We're in the right direction. Plant a tree in his baseball field. And Dragon, honestly, we'll get into it when we get into the actual special. I do genuinely think the heart is in the right place when it comes
I know. I absolutely agree with you there, yeah.
I think the problem is there's not really enough there to hang a whole special on it. You know what I mean?
So you see my point then, right? What I'm saying is like we're giving them some we're kind of filling in the blanks here and there. Where again,
for sure.
It was far more egregious in New Year's, where again New Year's had the main thing. It's the War and Peace. That's the best part of New Year's. The War and Peace is going on, but then we have to kind of again, it's not the New Year's isn't important, but we have to kind of
part of New Year's by far. You're right.
Yes, War and Peace. That's the main that's the big takeaway from New Year's. But then you realize when you're getting into New Year's, okay, well, we got to fill in the blanks. We got to say something about New Year's, which on New Year's is fun, but at the end of the day, it's just a party. So we have a lot of filler in that, and that's kind of an issue. And so you get what I'm saying, that the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show is kind of hitting a point where we're transitioning, where the Peanuts are kind of, it's the beginning of the oversaturation, where here again it's contained, but as it will go on, it's like we're putting the Peanuts out there, and we're not quite in MetLife territory quite yet, but it's like we're being stretched in with how far these things can possibly go to years down the line, where after Charles Schultz's passing, we have things that are just basically we're doing things with these characters just to do things with these characters.
Okay, Dragon, just a quick kind of theme park tie-in here. What year was this?
Okay, this was Arbor Day was 1976.
Okay, 1976. All right. I believe it was either a little bit before or a little bit after this one that Charles Schulz licensed out his characters for theme parks for the first time and created the first Camp Snoopy area of any theme park. And this is something that's gone on as a theme to, like there was a Camp Snoopy in Mall of America before that was taken over by Nickelodeon. Most all Cedar Point parks have a Camp Snoopy. The first one, though, was at Knott's Berry Farm, and you can still go there to this day. And it's still got classic Camp Snoopy rides from the 70s, which is what I love about Knott's Berry Farm anyways.
And my point is, not in the way it's super, it's not quite hurting the brand, but it's just kind of diminishing the brand until we get to something like
that's kind of what I'm saying with the theme parks. You know what I mean? With the theme parks, I feel like he got to a point where, you'd start seeing, I know they were connected to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk as well. I'm sorry, I don't mean to elongate this point or anything, but I do think it's relevant here where it got to a point where the characters, it's a lot like the Garfield syndrome, right? Wouldn't you agree? It's a little bit like
maybe I don't. It's the Tika. That's a great comparison. It's a question of if it's more than, or on the same level as Garfield. But I mean, I think Garfield might have had a little bit more than the Peanuts. But by the same token,
Peanuts has stood the test of time more than Garfield.
That's the thing, because with Garfield, the instant go
Garfield,
to
you have an iconic character, but those strips, no one ever really. Garfield is almost kind of like the Simpsons of comic strips. It's like he should have died long ago.
Beyond the suction, the age-old suction cup Garfield, that's what really is. That's the main sticking point, no pun intended, with Garfield versus Peanuts. Of course, you could always go back to the strips and vice versa. But Garfield has a bit of Garfield's clung around in some regard, but definitely not as much as the regard as the Peanuts. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that the Peanuts movie is like that's the occasion for story that we were waiting for. That when they came back and they had something to say about it, and again, it was kind of they had something to say about it versus just kind of saying something with the Peanuts. If I'm making any sense there, you follow?
Well, I mean, yes, but I do feel like the Peanuts movie is. I'm sorry, this might be a side tangent here, but I feel like the Peanuts movie is one of those weird meta movies that we've been getting where it's like it's telling a great story, but by the same extent, it's got a lot to say about the Peanuts just in general.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's coming back, and it's it's like we had things like the whole Linus losing the blanket special they did, which just felt like, oh man,
Right.
we're kind of like we're just dusting it off and just doesn't feel special anymore. Where we do something like the Peanuts movie, where okay, this is something special and kind of like it's like
the animation's changed. We're actually doing some ambitious things with the storytelling.
Like there's a real heart to the story again.
Up over the story.
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting at. So this is basically like the '70s is kind of the kind of the slow transitioning point for all. That's kind of like Peanuts beginning to hit the height of heights with the show, and with this going on, they're probably doubling down on the animation staff. And the point is, yeah, they're a little all over the place, and again, they're kind of stretching. They're juggling a lot of they're juggling a lot of spinning a lot of plates. I was going to say juggling a lot of plates, so it just sounds more dangerous than sensible. But you follow what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Anyway, so so the point is like this is anyway. So all of that was just getting to the point of so we had this going on simultaneously as the show, and it did have like the original players. Like again, like Phil Roman was directing this, and Charles Schultz did write this. Again, you still have kind of the original players are definitely involved, like they had been like on Easter Beagle and Thanksgiving and such.
And yeah, I mean that's the thing. It does feel like it's got some genuine kind of like classic Peanuts qualities to it, but as we keep saying, like as time goes on, it's just the cohesiveness of how well those plots flow together. Like you said, it's like it's less so about all the characters experiencing the holiday together and more so about like, well, let's just kind of throw together a dilemma for Charlie Brown to get into, and we'll just kind of see what side characters we can plop into it.
Exactly, and like here's an example for you. So in the making of this, so they did reuse a little bit of animation here and there, and again, that I think that's kind of a telling that again we do have the original players, but again there's a little bit of a stretched thin quality to it. We're in the reuse things, and like again this I'm not saying it's like it's impossible they can't reuse things because again you look at something Easter Beagle they reuse a shot and it's perfectly fine.
Well, I mean, look at Disney for God's sakes.
That's what I'm saying. It's perfectly fine. I'm just saying.
70s was just like a graveyard of reused cells, Dragon.
And then that's what I'm getting. It's like there's a bit of a reuse going on there, where again it's not egregious, but it's become a little bit more frequent than it had been on other things. But it's again, that's a little observation, I suppose. But here's a big one that actually has resonance. So there is something to with all your talk of finale and stuff. There is actually one big element of finality with this.
Oh dear. Okay.
Okay, so this was Vince Guaraldi's last score of the Peanuts.
Oh wow! Oh,
now
yeah, that is big,
and it's even bigger than that. All right, so Vince Guaraldi, like after he scored this, hours after he scored this, he passed.
Yeah, that's huh.
So again, that's why this might be the Guaraldi magic if you want to look in the grand.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. I mean, I feel like that does not to give a humble brag or anything. I mean, that is very sad, but yeah. It does kind of legitimize my theory at least a little bit. It's like, all right, these are never going to be quite the same after this.
Yeah. And there's one really cool thing about this. And again, the thing I think kind of gives us a lot of points versus something like down the line, where again it's in the spirit of something good. Where like down the line we have something that's it's the Peanuts kind of educating the kids about the U.S. history. It's like that's nice, but again they're kind of violating their own quality of standard there with how they're telling that.
Like, well, the characters are there, and we like the characters, I guess.
So folks, just because Snoopy's just because Snoopy's in something doesn't make it great. I mean, don't know, we all love Snoopy, but I mean, it's a thing, Anyway, but my point is, so it's something really special. And this is better than an example like that. What we have here is that in terms of like there was kind of a genuine heart and a really noble. There's a noble quality about this. And I'm not saying it's like noble in that it's kind of like putting this on a pedestal, but noble in that again, it's something that kind of makes Arbor Day a little special along the ranks of the other specials in some regard. In that, after basically after this was released, after this was done, Charles Schulz got a letter. He got a letter of thanks by the I think it was like either the granddaughter or the great granddaughter. I'm not sure how it went. The point is the granddaughter of some variety, granddaughter of the founder of Arbor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a thanks for thank you for representing Arbor Day so well. And again, it's the fact that they're just gonna did Arbor Day, and it's like they got thanks from essentially from the family of the creation of Arbor Day, which is kind of nice. And again, that kind of adds to like a really kind of a noble PSA quality to this. But it is educating people on a very underrated holiday. And it's basically the Charlie Brown of holidays is kind of giving the notoriety of Charlie Brown. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing, man. It does this holiday a lot more justice than the Proud family did for Kwanzaa.
Oh, sure. One last fun fact. One last one thing we'll dive right into because we've been talking up peanuts for a while here. This is the first debut of Rerun in a special. Remember, he was in New Year's, but this came before New Year's, so this is Rerun's first appearance in a special.
Okay.
A fun fact. All right, speaking of Rerun, let's just dive right in.
Rerun, tight transition there, Dragon, in the immortal words of Tuco Salamaka. Tight! Tight!
You know, when I think Arbor Day and Charlie Brown, I don't really think Tuco Salamaka, but I like where your head's at. All right. So,
it's blue.
What have you done to my deal? Anyway, all of this.
Oh, God. All right.
So we have Charlie Brown and Linus. They're preparing Linus's mother's bike for an outing with Rerun, the youngest of the Van Pelt children. Charlie Brown's kind of our outsider looking in here, kind of asking, basically putting the scene into play here, asking Linus some questions like, "Oh man, your mother sure takes Rerun everywhere, doesn't she?"
She says bike riding is such good exercise, and that she's already lost 3 pounds.
Yep, and of course, this right now is an example I'm talking about here, where we take elements of the strip here. Again, I believe this was like a regular thing in the strip where Rerun.
This has got to be a regular thing in the strip with Rerun just kind of being. Rerun is almost sort of like a Stewie Griffin without any of the evil or any of like the quirkiness to him. He's just kind of like this smarter than average little kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of see it. Yeah, it's basically like when the idea is like when you're that young, you're kind of a prop to the parent, and that's kind of what's going on here. Where again, you can't leave the kid alone, so you got to kind of take him everywhere. It's like a sack of flour, practically. It's pretty much.
Oh, Dragon, I do remember those days, Dragon, and I remember. You know what would be like the ultimate combination of like, oh God, this is like hell on earth. Why? Just why?
What?
Okay, this is going to sound silly, but the bank followed by a shopping trip.
The bank. Yes.
The bank and a shopping trip, Dragon. That like those two in unison. Like I know that my mom, because the thing is, my mom was a big shopper, right? So she'd go to the bank to check her funds, but of course there'd always be long lines at the bank. This was probably before ATMs let you just check your balance automatically. I don't know how that worked. I don't know, but like I want to say that ATMs just had like the little anyways, it's not important. So point is, my mom would like she'd either go to the bank to like withdraw money or check her funds or whatever, and then go to the clothing store, and it was just an ongoing routine. And so I can very much relate to Rerun here, Dragon. I really can.
So anyway, with Rerun here again, it's classic setup where he's on the back of the bike, and the mother's in the front, therefore we can't see her. Properly done. And Rerun's just again, this is really great kind of editing here. Again, kind of classic strip humor. It just feels like a strip brought to life, but again, mainly through the editing, which I really am impressed by with this. Again, I gotta tell you, it's kind of an impressive way of bringing the strip to life, where you just have like these cuts, kind of back and forth that delivers the joke as you would like each panel of the strips. That's really impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
So, we have basically, he's kind of like it's Charlie Brown asks the question, Linus either responds or answers the question, and the Rerun comes in with the joke. It's kind of the pattern of what goes on here. So, let's see. So, oh man, my mother's, she's lost 3 pounds, and we Oh God! And from fear, I've lost 5 pounds.
I like that Rerun's not even like really complaining about it. He's just kind of like stating a fact.
Yep, and you're right. In this regard, it's kind of like it's more of a PC, nicer version of Stewie.
Right.
Retroactive. Of course, you remember that one gag from when Family Guy was good. We had the origin of Stewie's head, which he actually had a rerun-looking head initially.
Oh God! Oh my God!
But anyway, let's not dwell on that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So let's see.
So we get some kind of like weird, like, oh, damn woman drivers humor. Like,
it's the idea that he'd be running back and forth. I got it less as woman drivers. I got it more as the fact that the Van Pelts have issues. Because remember, Elias's parents screwed him up with all the Great Pumpkin stuff and the Easter Beagle. So his parents there's something wrong with them, and I think this is just like adding to the laundry list of issues about why the kid needs a security blanket. I think this is adding to the laundry list of issues.
So Linus is saying like her steering's getting a lot better yesterday, and then Rerun's like yesterday we only hit 4 cars.
4 parked cars. Again, it's horrifying. Like, oh my God, she's such a reckless driver on a bike with a kid in the back.
Yeah, imagine her behind the wheel, man.
Jesus. Anyway, so of course, I find he finds different ways to pass the time, and of course he's saying like 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
God. But that's the thing, Dragon. Like, I just want to address any young listeners right now who literally like did not grow up with iPhones, right? Like, Dragon, there was a time when there was just nothing.
Yep.
Like I mean, at best you would have a Game Boy with a crappy screen.
Yeah, I've been there. Yep. That's the thing. Like these kids today, Tiki, they're so lucky. It's like, hey, I got a phone where I can play Candy Crush. I can,
I can watch a movie anytime I want. I can pull up any episode of any cartoon ever.
Watch Infinity War while I'm waiting in this 3-hour line at the bank.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Anyway, so the rerun essentially recaps.
Old.
Now, don't frame it like that. Now you're going to feel old because you said that. Anyway, so rerun recaps his day, essentially what kind of a day would entail with his mother, what they've done so far, which is like, let's see, there's like, there's the welfare, the welfare league. There's the church breakfast. There's
isn't there like a yay meeting?
The League of Women Voters, the library. I like how it says library, by the way. A little cutesy kid thing right there. Library. It's kind
From here there on, we go to the supermarket, and then our rousing meeting of the PTA, and then, last but not least, the Arbor Day Committee meeting. Considering I don't do anything, I lead a very active life.
Yep, and we've introduced the Arbor Day theme, and again, it's kind of name droppy away, and of course, boom, Arbor Day. Speaking of Arbor Day, so again, this is where we start to get, basically, to me, I think there are 2 elements of kind of sitcom stuff, and that's really, I don't mean that in the sense of like, there's just, because really in retrospect, it's like, yeah, there's only 2, really, there's an A plot and there's a B plot, I guess, so it's kind of, so I guess really there's only one way to go.
Man, I mean, that's one of the things with the special is that, to me, it really doesn't even have that much of a defined story outside of like Charlie Brown wants to get the baseball team together, but the baseball team sacrifice the baseball field, so it's like they kind of get equal screen time in that regard.
Well, sure. What I mean is like, what I was getting at is that Sally's story and Charlie Brown's story do sound a little situational, and that's kind of again, it's not as bad as the one we have in something else, but again, in terms of situational, it does feel like, okay, we're just filling in blanks, as you were kind of saying before with Charlie Brown, but Sally's as well. It's like, Sally, okay, we take kind of the classic Peanut set piece, classroom stuff. And Sally's assigned Arbor Day, and that's how we put Arbor Day in the play versus like because how we take, again, it is kind of a story fix because I'm of 2 minds about it because it's kind of a story fix at the same time. We're okay. How do we get an Arbor Day special? Arbor Day is the underrated holiday. Well, I mean, the only other way we can do it, book report. So again, it's kind of a no-brainer. Okay, well, we signed the kid a book report like we did. Basically, what if we do what we did with Thanksgiving? We're okay. She mentions she has to do a thing on Miles Standish where the whole Stanley Miles, I think you mean Miles Standish. Point being, like, we name dropped that. What if we actually saw the consequences that put things into play with, like, okay, she's writing a paper on the guy we actually learned about in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So Sally, let's see. So Sally, she didn't study the holidays for the thing in class, and she's trying to sink in her chair to avoid being called on. Again, classic strip humor right here. And then of course it says Arbor Day. Oh yes, do you remember?
No, not off the top of my head. I'm
Well,
sorry.
just in general, it was the whole. Oh yeah, I know that. It's when all the ships go back in the
Oh yeah,
harbor.
all the ships go back to the arbor.
Yeah, and of course, and this is
But
great.
I really love the animation, like the ha ha ha's in the background. Like as you mentioned, that's like kind of like classic strip iconography right there as well.
And also just giving me kind of a little bit of a contextualization here. I mean, you look at it, it's kind of the age old kind of like, oh, Charlie Brown, how I hate him, of like kind of the trauma within the strips, like, man, just being laughed at like that after you get an answer wrong.
Right, you're not wrong, Dragon. You're right. It is kind of like a little bit of shaded maliciousness there with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of staying true to the DNA of the Peanuts, So again, it's kind of what the special's got going for it so far. So far, we do feel kind of tied into the Peanuts. So that's a good sign. All right. So Sally, so she's, as she did with Thanksgiving, if she's ranting about now she has to give a complete report on Arbor Day because she dropped the ball so bad in class.
At least she doesn't have to read War and Peace.
True. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And of course, that always bugs me. That still always bothers me. How again that the War and Peace again? That's the most memorable thing from New Year's. But by the same token, it still has all those plot holes. Like, wait a minute, why is no one else
in one weekend, Dragon?
Like, and what library has that many copies of War and Peace anyway? What's going on? What's going on here?
Oh God!
Like, you need like a whole wall of a library full of War and Peace. It's a thick book, man. Of course, now you probably have like on Kindle or something. So anyway,
it'd be a big download file, Dragon.
Yeah, it'd be the slowest download ever. Slow as a snail in a mall.
Oh God! We don't even know.
Slow as a mole walking snail.
I mean, I do Kindle on my phone. I don't know how like an actual Kindle works with the downloads.
Well, I'm print through and through, so I have no idea. Anyway, okay. No, seriously. The point is, Sally is complaining to Linus, and they're followed by Snoopy and Woodstock. You're just kind of pounding around, kind of the Jay and Silent Bob of the special.
They really are in the special in particular. They're just kind of like getting into side shenanigans that don't really amount to anything, but they're fun to watch.
You know what's really funny though? It's just like Kevin Smith. He had these jerseys. Of course, now he's kind of moved away from the jerseys here and there because he's definitely shifted in size majorly these days. They had to the fact that they kind of had to change some titles of the show because Fat Man on Batman, now it's called Fat Man Beyond. Anyway, point is like he had these adorable patches on the jerseys, on the front of the jerseys, and they were basically he and his co-host of whatever podcast he was on done as Peanuts characters. There's one of him and Ralph Garman as Peanuts characters, which I think is adorable. And you have like him and Mark Bernard. And,
oh God.
Mark Barnes Franklin, which I think is
of
funny.
Course it's Franklin, of course.
I know. I'm just assuming that's the case. That's hysterical. Anyway,
you can make a joke about Thanksgiving, but I won't.
Thank you. Anyway, so but the point is, like, to me, the one I'm waiting for is like seeing Jay and Silent Bob with Snoopy.
Mark Bernard's podcast chair is just a little bit rickety, Dragon. Well, it's just a little bit rickety. Something's a little bit off with his podcast chair in the studio.
So close. We were so close on that. Anyway, what I'm saying, the reason I'm bringing up...
Like 0.1% of Peanuts fans are going to understand what I'm talking about there.
Anyway, my point is, to me, I think kind of the eternal combat, the thing I've been dying to see Kevin Smith kind of fully realize in one of those kind of Peanuts to kind of view askew-averse kind of realizations is Jay and Silent Bob with Snoopy as Silent Bob and Woodstock as Jay, because of course Jay's just kind of vocal, but it doesn't really matter what he's saying. It's like, and
right.
Anyway, that's just my own little adorable headcanon, like what I'd love to see kind of realized in Jersey form for Kevin Smith. But beyond that, so the point is, they're on tow. Sally's ranting to Linus about her problems, and Linus, oddly enough, and if you want to look about growth and stuff, and this is kind of the last grand outing with kind of the magic Giraldi dust, if you will, is that Linus is offering to help Sally at the library, which I believe in my own little headcanon, if you will, is I think this shows a little bit of growth with Linus.
Yeah, that's another thing that I forgot to mention about the whole the whole end game of it all, Dragon. It's like, oh my God, Linus is kind of we're slowly starting to form a link there. It's like it maybe, he's not entirely disgusted by Sally's presence this time around.
I mean, you want
to about it. He's still like, he's still resistant to it, but.
And if you want to really go back, you want to see all the strings, man. Nothing but strings. You want to go
My movie should have been better, and it should have involved more strings.
Anyway, if you really want to go back again, you want to look at the chronology of the holiday specials. You have Christmas, where of course we begin the infatuation. We see that she's going to play your wife, and of course she runs over there with the heart. So in the beginning, there was just he's hiding beneath the blanket. Then of course, following that, you get Great Pumpkin, where of course Linus is he's kind of feeling it, man.
It was almost like their big first date.
That's the thing. It was the first date.
Oh, God. Oh, we're going way too deep into this.
That's what I'm saying. Of course, by this point, again, it's like Linus has always kind of kept these kind of 1 foot out the door. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it's Valentine's Day is always on a different wavelength, but that's never in the right time. Anyways, you're right. We're way too much frenzy and time.
I'm saying, like, we're not going down the rabbit hole, Dragon. We're at the bottom of the rabbit hole.
One could say we're digging the rabbit hole to put in a tree for Arbor Day.
I like that.
Anyway, okay, so getting back, the point is like that. One could argue there's a little bit of growth in Linus here because again, the point is it's a rare thing to see him kind of somewhat entertain the sweet baboon thing. Again, he's definitely fearful of it, but he's not like denouncing it like he would be.
I mean, he's got to know at this point that like anything that he does that's nice for Sally is going to be like a sweet baboon gesture.
Precisely. All right. Let's see. So Snoopy and Woods, they all go to the library. They all go to the library. So again, Linus and Sally are going to look into read some Arbor Day stuff. Meanwhile, we have Snoopy and Woodstock. They're grabbing some books. One of which is Obedience Training for Dogs, which they read as if it were the funniest book ever.
Oh my God, this is a great gag, man. This is great dog humor.
It is just Snoopy was laughing like, oh, they think this is going to work.
I love the animation on it. I love the voice work. It's just I love this scene just in general. It really cracked me up. It's such classic Snoopy humor. Also, I mean, it has next to nothing to do with Arbor Day, but you know what? Like we were talking about, it's kind of just like a filler strip type gag there that just kind of pads it out and just kind of gives it a great kind of like, Charlie Brown feel. I don't know. It's a little out of place, but I like it.
And I'm saying, like, is it razor focused? Maybe not. But is it harming anybody? No. Is it fun? Sure, it is. But it's fillery, not a dirty word in this case. So yeah, they're laughing their heads off. I think a little bit of a PSA for the kids.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dragon. Some of my favorite DBZ episodes are filler episodes.
I love some of those too, man. I'm with you. Piccolo and Goku. The Goku and Piccolo driving episode cracks me up. Do we need it at all? Oh, yeah. No. Is it hysterical? Yes. Piccolo could have got his license if Goku didn't screw him up. Anyway, moving on.
I really want to just go back and watch that episode right now.
It's a really funny episode.
It's a masterclass in Dragon Ball comedy.
Yes, it is. Oh God, it's Goku telling the guys problems as they're sinking in the. Anyway, sorry, we're trailing off. Anyway, God, what was I? Oh yes, all right. Okay, so the point is like they're laughing their heads a little bit of a library.
He's like so amused by this book that he literally takes it to a photocopier and just starts copying the pages, and he just can't stop laughing.
And again, a little bit of a PSA for the library here that guys, you want to be quiet, quiet and courteous is it's a law of the library. You don't want to violate that sort of thing, or else you're gonna get kicked out. Like
Goofy's girlfriend is gonna get you.
Oh God. But sure, if you want to look at it that way. Point being, even again, other beloved dog characters, even other beloved dog characters will get thrown out of the library as well. Even if no matter how adorable and beloved they are, you'll get thrown out of there if you're being
Snoopy. I don't care how many T-shirts you're on.
Yeah. So that's essentially what's going on here. So yeah, the photocopy, have a little gag where Woodstock accidentally gets photocopied. That's a really great gag, by the way. Just like seeing what's like he realizes this by the copied paper out. So like, oh my God, it's a really It's a nice little kind of sketching of Woodstock on that paper, by the way. It looks good.
Yeah, it very much looks like what Schultz would just kind of like sketch and give to a fan or something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So they get thrown out. Meanwhile, let's see. We had some factoids. We had some factoids like Arbor Days celebrate different days and in different states in the spring. Basically, I think it means Arbor Day is probably within the same month. It might be different specific days depending on the state. But again, could be like country, could be state as well. I'm a little fuzzy on the specifics of that, but the point being is a neat little fact that yes, Arbor Day is not necessarily on the same day everywhere. It's
Yeah, it makes it a little messy to track it, but it's interesting. It's an interesting little factoid.
Well, from what I could find, I mean, again, I didn't look into. Obviously, as you can tell, I didn't look super into it. But from what I can tell, I mean, it does seem pretty much on the money. Again, they're kind of like they're bringing up the names who are kind of definitely tied to Arbor Day. So I think it's on the money. I got a thank you letter from the creator of Arbor Day, so I think they're on the money. That to me signifies they're on the money with it. But anyway, so we have like, how's your, Sally brings up, spring, kind of the time of, rebirth and love, and when it strikes a young man's fancy. Hey, Linus, how's your fancy?
Oh God.
All right, and then we get the specifics about the origin, which is Arbor Day originated in Nebraska. Nebraska, Diggy.
Yes.
Go Cornhuskers. Anyway, so we had, so anyway, so it started in Nebraska, and it was about the conservation to maintain and protect the forest lands, the woodlands and the forest. Let's see, it's Arbor means essentially Arbor translates the tree, hence the Arbor Day, but day for trees, tree day. It's kind of Groot's birthday, if you will.
Oh God! Oh man!
It's about maintaining the beauty and preservation. It's about the beauty and preservation that is found. I'm sorry, trying to get it just right here. The point is, you find it's about preserving the trees and everything. So it's pretty straightforward. And anyway, so beyond that, Sally's just asking, hey, you want to? I think she suggests like planting a tree maybe or something. Points like, hey, why don't we
basically like plant a tree so that they can like sit under it and hold hands, essentially.
Yes, and then maybe after that we can go to a movie and hold hands and we can share a soda, a loving cup.
Oh God!
That line is just so random. It's just
like she is on brand. She's crazy. She's a little over the top.
Yep, a loving cup. Oh, okay. So,
all right.
Let's see. So one loving. Okay. Anyway, suppose we transition from the talk of kind of the loving cup and the tree and everything, and then sitting under a tree two people actually sitting under a tree, which is kind of our main characters of the piece, Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and I like kind of that symbolism of them sitting under the tree in the special. It definitely gives the special kind of like a visual identity.
Yeah, again, I take it, but since you bring that up, yeah, we do use the tree as a great symbol. I mean, as it should be with Arbor Day, we use the tree as a really great symbol of something that's kind of come between Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown a little bit later on. So it's kind of the bane and also the great help to Charlie Brown, as well as like the tree is the ultimate symbol of Arbor Day and especially what we do here. Of course, the love in the air and the whole like just kind of conferences under again that's the thing I really got to give this major points for, Tiki. Again, I don't know if I'm just jazzed about the letter or not, but beyond the letter, it's the simple fact that I mean, again, this is really kind of it's selling you on Arbor Day a little bit, isn't it? Don't you feel a little bit in your toes?
Oh God, I don't know, Dragon. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's like I like plants all days of the year, Dragon. I don't need a day to celebrate it, but it does do a good job of what it sets out to do. I'm not going to deny you that.
That's all I'm saying.
I think the only problem is that it's kind of just like a book report, but in that defense, I mean, what other way would you do it but a book report?
Yeah.
So
anyway, Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown, they're sitting under the tree. I'm sorry, you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, let me just get to it in my notes. so Charlie Brown's basically like, I don't understand love, and
Like Parent Patty wants him to explain love. Hey Chuck, explain love to me.
and Charlie Brown, this is a very poignant moment with Charlie Brown. He's like, well, I can recommend a book or a painting or a song or a poem, but I can't explain love. And then Peppermint Patty's insisting, just like, oh, come on, try, Chuck. Try to explain luck. And then, oh boy. So Charlie Brown is just kind of like imagining the little red hair girl in his mind, probably. He's saying, when I imagine a cute little girl walking by, then Peppermint Patty's just like, why does it have to be cute, Chuck? Huh? Can't someone fall in love with a girl with a big nose
and
freckles?
And Charlie Brown accounts for this, and how does it go?
Well, let's just say that I happened to see a girl walk by who has a great big nose. I did say a great big nose.
And then Charlie Brown has the great. Again, this is like a strip gag right here. This tree conversation here. We have this Charlie Brown with the winner
the
here.
Force of Peppermint Patty's words just flung Charlie Brown from the tree.
They tumble him in midair for a few minutes. And of course, not only can't you explain love, you can't talk about it either.
Yeah, yep. Which again, that feels like, I don't know, maybe a few days worth of the strip.
Yeah.
So it's weird, Dragon. It's a mixed bag. It's like a lot of this stuff doesn't really have to do with Arbor Day, but by the same point, it's good stuff.
Yep, at least there's a tree in frame, though, so a little bit Arbor Day.
True, that's true.
All right. Speaking of Arbor Day, getting back to the Arbor Day plot of it all, I guess. So we had Sally and Linus. They got some gardening tools, got some rakes, and they're kind of going by, and they bump into Lucy.
Oh boy.
They bump into Lucy, and it's Sally's just kind of quoting some Arbor Dayisms, and she has like a really it's J. Sterling Morton, I believe. So J. Sterling Morton's quote here that it's a really good quote for the holiday. I think it's where he says something along the lines of most holidays like
most holidays like represent the past, and remembering the past. This holiday is about celebrating and looking towards the future. Basically, something to that extent.
Essentially, yes, and that's great. Yeah, I get it. That's a solid quote, and of course, she attributes it to J. Sterling Morton, and she's upset that Lucy doesn't. Basically, I love that Sally again. She was so like regretting this, and now she's gotten so into Arbor Day now. It says, you don't know J. Sterling Morton. More people need to, every child should plant an orchard, a flower garden onto a field. She's just super invested.
Kind of like just getting on her high horse in like a kind of a funny way. And then, what I kind of respect about that message, Dragon, is that it kind of shows both sides of the coin here. It's like, yeah, respect Arbor Day, plant a tree, but don't be a douche about it, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of that's the PSA of it all, man. Where again, you learn about something, you become invested in it. That's the nice message about it I kind of got from it. So Lucy, again, this works. So Lucy, she's in, man. She's like, yeah, I'll join you. Let's do something. So they find a field, and Sally picks the field again harmlessly without really thinking about it. But so what field did she pick, Tiki?
Oh God, she picked the baseball field, Dragon.
And Charlie, and as Linus points out, this is Charlie Brown's baseball field.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to make a Hey Arnold reference, but it's late. I'm trying to say like one of the kids is like, "Hey, we could use this vacant lot instead."
God.
And then imagine if they do use the vacant lot, and then all the Hey Arnold characters come back. It's like, "Hey, who filled up our baseball field?"
Again, here's the thing. We're going on so many tangents because right now I want to talk about the vacant lot episode of Harold because that was a really good one too. But we don't.
Okay, just one more tangent. All right, like imagine there's like a giant watermelon plant growing on home base, and Harold's eating it, and someone's just like, "Harold, you're eating home base," and Harold's just like, "But I was hungry."
Oh God. See, right? See, when you bring up the vacant lots, I'm thinking of the poignant ending where it's like the whole, like, they wheel the dumpster on there. Well, like, you took our field. This is how we found it. You put in the work, and that was a
Well,
really
yeah,
great.
you're right. You're right.
That's a great moment.
That
But
was like super early on in Hey Arnold too,
I
right?
know, right? Because again, they have to have the vacant lot for all the baseball stuff later on.
All
So
right,
yeah,
this is an Hey Arnold podcast.
right.
It
If
very
you
well
love
could
it.
be because Hey Arnold is a little bit of a spiritual successor to Peanuts, but
And there's a couple environmentally sensitive Hey Arnold episodes, so I don't know,
of
maybe in the
course.
future. Anyway, like there's the Save the Tree
All
episode
right,
that
all
they
right, all
run.
right. Yeah. There's of course the
Anyway,
Big Teaser one, which is your personal favorite.
anyway, back on point. So Lucy, oddly, so here's the thing. So this is so interesting. This is really interesting about the whole Arbor Day thing to me. I want to get your take on this. So Lucy is oddly helpful. Here's the thing. Lucy has an oddly helpful intent behind what she's doing here. Yet, really insensitively. It's like insensitive yet helpful at the same time.
Oh,
Which
I
kind of
feel
like
like
keep.
she's literally just going along with it because she knows that it's fucking with Charlie Brown.
Here's the thing, though. I think she means it, but she does. I think she's just so like kind of numb to it. She just doesn't realize like this is gonna screw. I think she in her warped mind, like, she thinks this is helping Charlie Brown, but again, it's like I'm what I'm looking at
I
here is
think it kind of like plays into the whole like child psychologist thing where she's just like, oh, Charlie Brown's just got to embrace the newness of the situation.
a little bit of that, and of course, I think the grand joke of the Peanuts, one of the grand things that, of course, Lucy and Charlie Brown end up with each other. And again, I don't know what state this was during Schultz's marriage to his wife, but I wonder if maybe some issues were bleeding onto the page on this one. Where again, his wife means well, by the same token, they kind of drove each other a little crazy at times.
Right.
So I wonder if there's a little bit of that going on here. Where like Lucy is doing something nice for Charlie Brown. Again, probably I think your way is the actual answer to that. But I mean, just reading into it, it's like, well, Lucy's just she is trying to help, but she's just she's just completely like being insensitive to what Charlie Brown's feelings are going to be. Completely, like she's just sidelining however
I mean,
like
she's
screw it.
kind of just tone deaf to the situation. I feel like that's a good word for it.
It's like I'm doing this for Charlie Brown, but screw how Charlie Brown feels. Again, that's the conflict of Lucy.
Right,
Where
right.
again, if you want to look in the history of things, look at all the way back to Christmas. Again, she
Dragon,
made him.
like the air of maliciousness that I get from it kind of specifically comes from Lucy's insistence that Charlie Brown not work on it or not see it.
And that's the thing, T. Again, I get exactly where you're coming at. Because again, there is insensitivity, but you've got to remember, like again, my take on it though is that I think she's generally trying to be helpful, but
She
again,
just
it
wants
is.
to make it a surprise, like make it a big surprise.
That's the thing, but again, she just doesn't. I think she just doesn't realize like how it's going to screw them over. She just doesn't care. Again, it's like when you do something nice for someone, but you don't care like how they're going to feel about it. That it's going to be the oxymoron. I think that's going on here with with Lucy. I think that's it. Anyway, so of course, again, she's done stuff like this before. You go all the way back to Christmas. Again, Christmas, like she makes him the director of the Christmas play, and of course, she screws him over with that.
Yeah, sure.
Again, I think it's just history repeating itself on that one. Of course, the football. If you want to look for the better example, the football. It's like, but then again, that one's more of her actually screwing. That football's not a good example. Let's just move on. So, point being, so Lucy's really into this idea, man. She wants to spruce up. She wants to spruce up the field. Of course, Linus sees the disaster on this, man. She sees the disaster on all of this planting on the baseball field, just completely oblivious to how this is going to blow up in everybody's face. At least seemingly it will. So anyway, meanwhile, Peppermint Patty, she's calling Charlie Brown. This is kind of a classic rumor of Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown. Peppermint Patty calls, but she never listens. It's funny. Peppermint Patty, she calls to remind Charlie Brown. I'm sorry. No, she hasn't. Wait a minute. Oh my god, I think we missed something.
What did we miss? Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. No, we missed the wait, sorry, I just want to make sure we didn't God, I know that list. Remember she reads off the list. I'm trying to remember where that was.
What list?
The list of we're gonna slaughter you here, we're gonna do all
this is during the phone call. We're good, Dragon. The list is coming up.
All right.
No, I'm like 99% sure the list is like coming up during this conversation.
All right. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so Peppermint Patty she calls for a reminder that they're visitors to Charlie Brown's field, and and then she hopes the field is ready, and then she runs into Lucy, and anyway. So she tells Charlie Brown to check the field. Charlie Brown walks outside. He bumps into Lucy and Linus, and they tell him, like, "Oh yeah, we're sprucing up the field." Not making. And he says, "Oh yeah, yeah, you should mow the grass, you check the bases, all that stuff." And says, "Hey, it's all in good hands." And without saying that's not what we're going to do at all, Charlie Brown. She just says like, "Oh, it's all in good hands, Charlie Brown." And of course, Linus is trying to interrupt and say, "Actually, we should tell him more." Like, they'll forget Linus over here, you know. So basically, Charlie Brown's kind of doomed here. So it's like poor Charlie. Again, for us, the audience, like we, the audience, know something. Charlie Brown's not going to like this. As Linus is going to represent us, the audience. Like, oh, poor Charlie Brown's
like Linus is just like in the background, like, oh boy, this is just getting like you're literally like digging this hole deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's no getting out of it now. It's like we just kind of have to wait and see how the situation plays itself out, but it's not going to be good.
Tiki, sorry, I've now seen it. Okay, yeah, we did skip it. Okay, we got to backtrack for a moment here too. Just real quick, Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown, because they were sitting under the tree talking about this. It was right after the origin of Arbor Day stuff. So
Peppermint Patty, they went over the whole schedule thing over the phone.
No, it wasn't over. I know it wasn't over the phone. That's why it was bugging me. So
weird. Okay,
we missed. Sorry, folks, we missed. We got it back.
Twice. I feel like I'm going through like a mini Mandela effect already.
Oh, just trust me, Tiki. They were under a tree because she's holding a physical list and showing them.
Okay.
Anyway, so Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown, while they were under the tree, this is the earlier things kind of hyping up the whole baseball of it all here. Just saying, like, hey, Charlie Brown, this is where we introduced the baseball thing. That's why the baseball thing's coming now. We hadn't introduced it yet. That's when we introduced it. So they're chatting under the tree.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I got it. So my team plays your team 12 times. We slaughter you in April, smash you 3 times in May, ruin you twice in June, murder you 3 times in July, annihilate you 4 times in August, and destroy you all together in September.
Yep. So she says, "Look, I can't take it easy on you, Chuck." And they shake hands, and of course, this is. I'm sorry, now it's done. Yeah, this is the payoff of it all because they're talking about love earlier on. They shake hands, and it's like, "Oh, Chuck, I think you know more about love than you let on."
Right.
All right, so then they run. So then after that is when Lucy got introduced. Basically, went through all this stuff with Lucy. So now we're back to Peppermint Patty's calling to remind him about the baseball game. He checks. He runs into Lucy. And of course, Charlie Brown is doomed. So he reports in the Peppermint Patty, "Yep, the field's in good hands, man. It's going to be all great for the game again." Poor Charlie Brown. So, meanwhile, Snoopy and Woodstock, they're on the field. They're raking, and basically they're kind of carving the holes in the field and planting the seed. Like Woodstock, this little bird with this giant rake. He's sidled with the rake. He's got to like scratch the surface. This Snoopy just kind of casually throws it in while he's wearing his sunglasses, just like throwing it in there. And of course, we have a bird seed gag where he's just throwing seeds in there. So Woodstock's eaten up, and of course, he's just kind of doused by the water can. Meanwhile, okay.
This is where we get the phone call, Dragon. I'm sorry, I'm a little lost on the I'm lost on the timeline here, Dragon. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. So the phone call already happened. All right, we're all good on the phone.
Okay.
Right now. Anyway, so let's see. So we have orchards are. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I get it right.
Okay, I think I got it with Snoopy and and Woodstock with the giant rake. Okay, I think I'm on point here. Sorry about that.
Anyway, so after that, we have like Linus being the voice of reason, but guys, we should stop this. And of course, Lucy is not stopping whatsoever. Right.
What now?
Sorry, Miss. I'm sorry. I'm a little lost on something here. Lucy. Basically, again, Lucy. Oh yeah, okay. They're playing. Okay, I got it. Okay, they're on the symbol of the special. They're on the base right now. Basically, Linus is like echoing, like,
the base with the tree definitely is kind of like the iconography of the special for sure.
We have a reveal of it. That's what I'm sorry. That's what got me here.
Okay.
So basically, they're on the field, and the alliance like, Lucy, this is not a good idea. It says, come on. It's like this is like we gotta move it right here, right here. Are you sure? It's just, of course, as we reveal, like she's basically dropping this. Basically, the image of the special here. We're dropping a tree into the pitcher's mound, which we're Sharman won't be able to pitch from this at all. It's going to be very troublesome. It's going to be again the symbol of the whole thing of the folly of all of this here. Lucy's looking on the bright side here. Like, look at it. It's going to add some class to the field and provide some shade for Charlie Brown. Let's get the whole team to help. So now it's becoming a group effort. That's what's going on now. So Lucy, she tells Charlie Brown they need help, so we need help materials. So you get some materials and call in some materials and then tell everybody to show up. And Charlie Brown offers to help. Like, oh, okay, I'll help out too. Says, no, you should strategize and prepare for the season. Prepare the whole season.
Yeah,
strategy
for the whole season, Charlie Brown. Nothing suspicious about that at all.
Yep. Poor lad. He's so doomed. He's so doomed.
Did you mention the ironic line that you might have, the ironic line that Lucy gives of like when she's planting the tree on the home base and she's just like, oh, this'll give him shade on those hot days.
Yeah. Of course, there's a great bit of irony there. Yeah, of course, the payoff. So yes, oh god, it's great. So Lucy, she's overseeing the planting like rose bushes on third, geraniums or geraniums. Anyway, other plants on first and second base, and some daisies on home plate, and we have the creeping vine. I believe it's I think it's the one with the curly hair, Violet. I think it's Violet. The point is, anyway. So let's just. The point is, one of the girls she's telling Snoopy about these creeping vine plants that she's putting on one of the bases next to Snoopy there.
Okay, Dragon, you're kind of coming in and out. I don't know if it's.
Well, can you hear me now?
Okay.
What?
I said you're kind of coming in and out. I don't know if it's you or me.
Okay, well, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You can hear me. Okay.
Okay.
Right?
I think we're good now. I know, but we had a little pickup there. I think we're good now. Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so I was saying, I think it's Violet, right? Is it Violet on the?
I'm pretty sure it's Violet. Yeah.
Right. So Violet's telling Snoopy about the creeping vine plant, and of course we set this up for later.
Okay, Dragon. It's going to sound silly, all right, but you know me. I have an irrational fear of sentient plants.
Poison ivy is that's the Batman villain you fear most.
Right. Dragon, in Animal Kingdom, I'm not even kidding. There's this walk around character called the Will-O-Wisp, and she's basically just like a character that's like made to look entirely like a willow tree with like branches and like basically stilts for branches and leaves and stuff for the full body costume. Dragon, I go out of my way to avoid that damn thing. Even to this day, going into Animal Kingdom, I can't stand it.
Wow.
It's like, I know it's just someone on stilts. I don't care. It looks like a sentient tree.
So it's kind of funny. So again, this vine here does act a lot like the chair from the Thanksgiving special in regards to Snoopy having like battles with chairs and with just plant life and wooded things. I don't know. It's just one could say it's like maybe there's like there's like just really one ticked off forest out there. All this is coming from. Who knows?
I
don't know. So the point is, like Snoopy's like nailing it to the background, or like a little kind of plant, like reflector sold, like one of those things in a greenhouse. You have like these little kind of backings for plants and stuff. It's like it helps with like the greenery or something. Anyway, point is he starts to get into with the vine that it kind of wraps him up, and that's going to be some setup for later. Meanwhile, we have an optimistic Charlie Brown. He's strategically planning the season and how to beat Peppermint Patty. And again, I love that. Again, it's almost like a Greek tragedy. Like you're rooting for Charlie Brown, even though you know he's destined to fail.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the thing, Dragon. That's the thing. Probably the line that stood out to me the most is the whole thing about like how he's lining up. Okay, so let's see. So Snoopy is the best hitter, so I'll put him on first. Then Linus, and then the bases will be full, and then I'll come up and I'll hit a home run. And then Dragon, he has just the most self-defeating classic Charlie Brown ism. He's just like, there I go, daydreaming again.
Yep. Meanwhile, we have this adorable, oh my god, I love the animation on this. We have this adorable sprinkler gag with Woodstock where he's on the sprinkler and he's spinning around. But here's my favorite bit of the animation here. So after he's spinning around on the sprinkler, he gets off of it. And he's basically, in spitting the water out that he's just been kind of like almost drowned in, he's basically spinning around as like, it's almost like kind of an after effect of it. So he's like turned into a walking sprinkler. I think it's adorable. All right, Peppermint Patty's ready for the first game. Charlie Brown is hoping. Okay, I guess. Okay, there's a second phone. That's what you're thinking of. Here's like the second call. She's saying, "Okay, we're ready. Is they ready for the first game, Chuck? Yeah, I'm hoping. You don't think you're gonna win, do you?"
Right, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Remember, Chuck, I can't take it easy on you.
Even if it's 24-0, Chuck, that's just how it goes.
Yep. So then, outside of Charlie Brown, as Charlie Brown's making his way to the field, Lucy and company, they decide to, they give him some good news. They decide to name the field after him, Charlie Brown Field. And Charlie Brown's very flattered by this. You know, he's just overcome. And again, it's cosmically just such a screw up that's about to befall him right now. It's like, we're gonna name the field. It's like it's a cosmic screw you in a way, you know. It's just like
this is another thing I'm talking about, Dragon. Like, these stakes are high for Charlie Brown right now. It's like he could potentially win something involving sports. You know, he's literally got his name on the line. Like, he's got his name as part of this like holy ground that he's kind of carved out for himself. You know.
Yep. So Linus.
I'm sorry, I'm being kind of like a little bit like, you know, just a little bit over the top with the holy ground thing, but you know what I mean. It's like what I mean by that is that the baseball field is you know, has been in kind of like a fixture of a lot of Charlie Brown stuff. He was featured very early on in the Peanuts movie for good reason, and so I don't know. Like I said, just in my own little stupid and ridiculous headcanon, there is a finality to like, oh man, like that baseball field that we've spent so much time is now like actually named after Charlie Brown.
In a way, it's a monument to his failure, coming so close but never quite making it. You know, it's a monument to basically, again, the Greek tragedy of it all. Charlie Brown is being set up that things are looking great for him, that you, the audience, are kind of forgetting enough that, man, maybe things are going to work out for him for a moment. Where again, like he's so overcome with joy and happiness that the field's being named after him, his team's supporting him, he's strategizing. We put him on the highest pedestal of hopes, and then, as Linus is confident on his friend, the Greek chorus, if you will, perhaps you could phrase it that way. You know, he's like, you know, he knows that a bad thing's going to befall Charlie Brown. You know, you should see the field, Charlie Brown, as he's really nervous. And of course, Charlie Brown goes in, and we have like the thing we've all been there with that one moment where we just like we have a plan, and then just it does not get followed one iota, and there's like a huge wrench like the moment of, and there's no time to account for. So
he just passes out like, what happened? Where am I?
So like here's the tragic thing. On his way, like Charlie Brown's like questioning, like maybe we should get some fields. Charlie Brown Field, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? So then I love how we have the off-screen discovery here. As he walks there, basically, we don't see Charlie Brown's reaction. We see the field, and we see like mid-og faints. It's mid-og, he faints. Oh, so then it was my idea to celebrate Arbor Day. And then Charlie Brown's questioning the practicalities out of his gourd, asking very logical questions. Like, I've been in Charlie Brown's shoes on this one. Like, what were you thinking?
Like, look, it looks nice, but we can't play baseball on this.
Exactly. And, you know, like Lucy saying, oh, we couldn't. This to me is Lucy's logic for the whole thing. This is like why she's like, she's kind of oblivious to really why this was a problem. It's like, we couldn't play before anyway. You haven't lost anything. So,
oh boy, Chaos Dragon shenanigans.
Of course, the pitcher's mound. You know, like
Peppermint Patty's gonna be here any minute. What's Charlie Brown gonna do?
Exactly. There's basically it's like a more disastrous version of Thanksgiving, where Thanksgiving he was trying to do some spin control and that with Peppermint Patty. Now it's like, oh god, there's no, and she cares a lot about sports. This is not going to go over well. So, give it a try. And of course, I have this great line by Schroeder. Oh, Charlie Brown, just give it a try as he goes up to the pitcher's mound. Beethoven never. I love how snippy and defensive Charlie Brown's kind of getting here. Right? It's a really great. Charlie Brown's not being snippy and defensive. It's a line that's a little pointed that feels like, yeah, it's Charlie Brown. You know, kind of fighting back a little bit. I respect that. He's just going up there, a little snark. Kind of says it under his breath a little bit. I guess he's being all polite and nice and Charlie Brownie. I guess. But I love he's going up to the field. He's saying Beethoven. He says Beethoven never gave up, and of course Charlie Brown's response is Beethoven never had a tree on his piano. Good line. So then we have the Scarecrow. It's like, what is this? It's a Scarecrow, and we see the bats have been used as stakes for the tomato plants. One, why you need tomato plants, and secondly, all the bats. Really, you needed all the bats.
Dragon, that to me was almost like kind of like the step too far. That to me was like, all right, guys, like look. You had a nice idea here, but you ruined it. I mean, like, we literally have no equipment to play now. Like, what is this little pretend land that you're dealing with here, folks? Like, this is a baseball field here, and the bats are now in the ground.
So Peppermint Patty arrives, and she's questioning, what is this, a victory garden? Oh, you have everything here but sheep and cattle. And, of course, Snoopy making with the sound effects. It's kind of classic Snoopy. Bit of a Christmas throwback, by the way, Snoopy with all the animal sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, Peppermint Patty, she's very upset. She's... this is the craziest thing you've ever done. You're the most dumb manager who ever lived. But Peppermint Patty, she's not.
Well, again, I love this idea that Charlie Brown, like he legitimately thought he was managing like in tip-top shape, man. He thought he had his peeps on this. Like he thought that his whole crew was just getting behind to like really whip up this awesome project for him.
Yeah, and again, it's so true to the character of Charlie Brown, the sympathy there, like, oh god, the world's just against him. But here's what gets me. Again, it's kind of like this is an element of this special that really jumps out to me because it kind of captures a little bit what I love so much in the Peanuts movie, Tiki, where again, it's like the Peanuts movie is the one story where it's Charlie Brown as close to winning as he'll ever get in life. And this one's more of, again, a little bit more of a tragic sense where he's so close. He basically is like an Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like the Peanuts movie, he gets his reward. This, it's like he gets a taste of it, but ultimately fate, it's like, nope.
That's what I'm saying. If you want to look at it, because we're making a bunch of Endgame references or Infinity War in this case.
I'm sorry, folks. There's something on our minds right now. Okay, I can't help it.
But there is an actually relevant example here. Look at the beginning of Infinity War. It's like what Thanos' first line is practically in Infinity War, which is, "I know how it feels to get so close to winning.
Oh God,
having it invade you." It's kind of Thanos' philosophy.
Thanos would sympathize with Charlie Brown. I think Thanos would pay Charlie Brown special attention, Dragon.
Absolutely. We know Thanos is great with kids.
Oh God.
Well, he is. Until they grow up and he kind of has to. Well, it's like, can the bird fly from the nest? And if they don't have wings, let's just say that does not end well for them. Anyway, the Falcon would have survived that. Anyway, okay, in all seriousness, okay, so the point being, but yeah, that you see what I'm going for there, right? I love kind of the Icarus effect of So anyway, so Peppermint Patty's not giving up, so the most ridiculous of circumstances. I'm sure baseball fans must love this special, by the way. They must love the absurdity of this.
I'm saying, Dragon, that's kind of like the biggest stroke of genius in the special is that they managed to kind of like combine like a classic baseball story within the Peanuts fabric with Arbor Day.
Yeah. So Snoopy's the first batter up. He hits his foot gag. Where there's he's gonna be he's kind of the cocky batter up. He hits his foot. They're just like trying to show off like he's Babe Ruth or something. Then we have the creeping vine gag. I love the timing on this vine. It's just like it's inching closer and closer. He's looking at it. It's like going. It's not moving. Of course, it's closer and closer, just messing with. The point is, everybody's having difficulties. Snoopy's having his difficulties with this vine, and Peppermint Patty. She can't.
The animation on Peppermint Patty like struggling to pitch. Like first she gets her arm caught on the tree, then she gets her leg caught on the tree.
Yep, and it's just and of course then we have the vine gag with Snoopy here, where basically Snoopy hits it, but as he runs, the vine is chasing him and it stops him before he gets to the base.
So cruel.
Then we have a gag with lines. But to me, feels like again, this probably is a recycled. This could be a recycled bit, quite possibly, of animation. If not, just like a gag they kind of had on standby with it feels like a classic blanket gag. It doesn't really feel special with this, but I don't know. So Linus with the blanket here, he's hitting the ball while holding it, of course, as he hits it. Again, it's a pretty good hit. He gets wrapped up in the blanket mid hit, so it's like they catch it, you're out. Before it's like
Yeah, yeah.
some clever animation. Let's see, Lucy. Okay, so basically, Lucy wants to Charmin's like, we need a run, we need a home run, and Lucy says, "What do you get me if I?"
This is okay. You've got to admit, this is a big moment right here.
Yeah, okay. You tell you walk.
This is the moment that we've kind of been building towards a little bit.
Well, tell them about it.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just line up with my notes here. Let's see. Skip it past the Snoopy stuff. Skip it this. The Linus stuff. Okay. I'm sorry. Who asks? Who proposes the thing first? Charlie Brown. Like the whole if you hit what?
I believe. Well, it's between Lucy and Schroeder, so I believe Schroeder either Schroeder
kind of propose it. He's like, if you hit a home run, I'll give you a kiss.
Well, no, I guess Lucy asked for it, and then Schroeder says, "Oh yeah, not only that, I'll give you the greatest kiss."
Yeah, right. He's like, I'll give you the biggest kiss you've ever had.
That's how it goes. Anyway, so Schroeder's with the very cocky kiss offer of like, "Oh, make it a great," because he knows like she's never gonna happen. Charlie Brown's like never gonna happen. So Lucy hasn't
never hit a ball out of the field in her life.
So off screen, well, yeah, I guess I don't know. I forget is it off screen? Like, do we see her hit the ball or what? Because I think it's off screen.
Yeah, let me check. I have it on Prime right now on my phone. Give me 1 sec.
To me, it feels like it's off screen. I think that's funnier, but I guess you can tell us.
I'm pretty sure it is off screen.
Yeah, it does play better, doesn't it?
Yeah, basically, we see her swing. And then we cut back to Charlie Brown, and he's like, "She did it! She hit a home run!"
And of course, we just have Schroeder just in utter disbelief.
Charlie Brown is like honestly being a little bit of a dick to Schroeder in this movie. He's like, "You promised! You promised!"
Hey, it's Schroeder's own. It's Schroeder's own fault. All right. Okay.
You're gonna get cooties, Schroeder.
Well, he's not saying he's not going on to
that
degree, but you know what I mean. Charlie Brown just everyone's punching bag. Let's give Charlie Brown a little bit like gloating to Schroeder. Because Schroeder's the one with that little like, just give it a try, Charlie Brown. This is Charlie Brown's kind of revenge on Schroeder. You know what, Schroeder? Here you go. You know what? You shut your mouth off. Now pucker up, baby. It's like one of those bits, like pucker up, piano boy. Anyway, so Lucy's like she's eagerly kind of making her way down the bases as Schroeder's like, well, a promise is a promise, and with his like shielding his eyes and puckering up, Lucy just like looks at him in utter disgust. You know what? If this is the only way I'm gonna get a kiss for you, forget it. And of course, I just want to highlight something. This is a really classy gag in a day and age now where this is the kind of humor that we need. Sort of stuff, man. It's a modernist gag back then. I think done better than most. Where she's just saying, "Victory for women's lib."
I mean, it's like it's very much like on the nose, and I'm sure it was on the nose back then as well. But you know what I like about it is I kind of like that it's like Lucy. It's like I like that it's being framed that Lucy doesn't exactly know what women's lib even is, and she's kind of like taking this very innocent like childhood moment and kind of like framing it around that.
Yeah, and by the same token, she's also just she's like, hey, I don't want to.
It's not like Brie Larson going around and saying like, hey guys, I did my own stunts in my movie, which was like 99% CGI, but I did my own stunts.
Yeah, but again, the primary thing being here, like she's kind of sticking up for her standards here. Like, you know what? I don't want like a forced, I want a forced kiss, which of course is avoiding like we can't have Schroeder and Lucy kiss, otherwise it's the end of the world.
Right.
It's like when you time travel and you can't touch the other version of yourself, or else reality itself will implode, or you'll just pass out, like the Back to the Future rules of all this. It's like one of those things. Based
All
on
right.
paradox. Anyway, so let's see. So after that, oh yes, Charlie Brown is on the mound now. Things have switched out. So Charlie Brown's on the mound, and amazingly, the field works in his favor. Hooray!
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I feel like they have the home court advantage because like all the flowers and stuff. Like the very least, since the kids planted the flowers, they kind of maybe know their way around it. At least that's the logic that I'm getting.
I mean that makes sense, but I don't know. I think because again they were tripped, like Snoopy was tripped up by the vine earlier on. I mean, and of course, Linus thing is not really reliant on a plant-based thing. So yeah, I think you make a very fair. I think the logic is in your favor, TK. I just think beyond, I think it's kind of it's an unpredictable thing. I think just the logic is like in this field, just again, it's like
I mean, that's totally fair. Yeah.
I think it's just like again, fate is just shining on Charlie Brown for a mere moment.
And again, it kind of makes it all the more tragic because fate. It's not like Charlie Brown's going to get what he wants. Oh no, because that would make the universe just implode upon itself. It's that Charlie Brown's going to get a taste of what he wants.
It's going to take Charlie Brown decades to even get close to like getting essentially kind of getting a vague victory. That's kind of what we can dedicate that whole movie to. But anyway, so we have they're basically striking some hits. And again, it's not like through strategy; it's just through sheer luck. Really, that's what's happening here. That's where all of this, just sheer luck through this garden, where the hit is made, but it's caught by the Scarecrow. And we have another hit that is then caught by reruns. That's the greatest catch I've ever seen. Which somehow that counts. I think that's deserving of a recall. But hey, I won't take away Charlie Brown's victories. I'm fine with that. Anyway.
Right.
So again, it's kind of a neat little reappearance of rerun, though. It's kind of an intersection of kind of moments.
Yeah. He just kind of like pops up out of nowhere, like, "Hey guys, I'm still in this thing. Remember me from the opening scene? I'm here."
Yeah. Let's see. So remember who said Arbor Day in the first place? This guy.
Right.
This guy on the back of the bike. Yeah. Give me my own Christmas special. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, he did get it. So, anyways, Charlie Brown. Then, of course, classically, he's hit out of his shirt, kind of the classic, age-old kind of strip gag here, where he basically Charlie Brown, he throws the pitch and it's just like hit right back at him. It's just like kind of scattered and everything, like out of his shirt and everything. It's anyway. So, meanwhile, he goes to the fielders, and the fielders are gabbing over the flowers, and everything's completely oblivious to what's going on here. But thankfully, Peppermint Patty, she can't find the bases.
Right.
You cannot find. It's just digging around.
Yeah, this is mostly where my logic of like, well, they at least have some semblance of knowledge of where the bases actually are.
That's true, but again, that's the thing. I think logic's on your side with that one, for sure. Let's see. Beyond that, let's see. So, okay, so I believe 6 more innings, and we win our first game ever. I believe that's what they said. So, of course, now we have the tree on. Basically, someone's in the tree on the mound, and they catch it. But I think that tree grew way too. Look, I'm not trying to knock anything.
I totally agree with you, man. Logically, it's like we've got like a Krunk Emperor's New Groove type situation here. Like Krunk's about to pull down like a diagram of how fast trees grow, and he's like, by all accounts, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh God. Okay. Now, okay. Yes, I'm just going to acknowledge that and move on because I don't want to just go on an Emperor's New Groove tangent. Yes. All right. So then we have Snoop.
Go ahead.
Right, so then we have Snoopy and the Scarecrow catching things. We have a guy in a tree catching things. Charlie Brown then jinxes himself here. This is where Charlie Brown flew too close to the sun. This is the
thing that I've learned at work. Like, I've learned at work, it's like never acknowledge that you're having a smooth day, right? Like, if the day's just going well and there's not a ton of traffic coming in and out, but by the same token, there's enough that you're not bored, but not enough that you're overwhelmed. Dragon, the rule of thumb with all my coworkers is that we never talk about it. We never acknowledge it because as soon as we do, there's going to be some idiot who pulls in with like a whole carload of crap and it's just going to ruin our whole day.
Absolutely. So, as Charlie Brown jinxes himself, he says, "We're going to win. There's no way we could lose." And of course,
except for maybe a freak rainstorm.
as Linus mentions here, and says, "Yeah, there's not a cloud in the sky." And then, of course, we have these really great Scribble. What do you think about the Scribble cloud animation? I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
One is like storm clouds are starting to form, and
Uh-huh.
then it's like poor Charlie Brown, and it's just this, and basically this leads to is leading towards a postponement, and Charlie Brown is like arguing, "No, no, no! I just this thing we rarely take this thing. This is the special thing about this thing, man. This is where." We've never quite seen Charlie Brown so desperate in a situation like this, at least to my recollection in this moment, where Charlie Brown, again, he's just not counting the movie, obviously, but I mean, before a moment like that, we kind of have like a moment here where Charlie Brown, he's so close, and you see him just again he's standing up for himself here again. When things are so dire, and then it's not going to work out. Like the rain is happening, he's so close to victory, just so determined to continue. And like everybody's fleeing from the rain, and Charlie Brown's just like, "Oh, no, no, get back to your post, guys. We gotta finish this." And just he's being left there, and he's just in that again. It's kind of sad to see just Charlie Brown so addicted to just the taste of victory that he just he's just alone. He's just left alone in a flooded field. As Snoopy's doing the dog paddle, and Sally's saying, "Well, look on the bright side. It's good for the crops." And of course, but we were winning.
We were winning. We were winning.
Oh god, your heart goes out to him, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's like like you said, Dragon. I feel like that Icarus comparison is very much on point. It's just like this is the closest that Charlie Brown's ever come, besides the movie, of course, to very much just achieving his dreams. It's like it'd be like if Charlie, like this is like the equivalent to Charlie Brown kicking 10 footballs, man.
Yep. So let's see. So Sally's given a report about the trees and the plants are doing well in the field. I believe she recalls the 1894 address that every man, woman, and child should plant trees.
Yeah.
Every man, woman, and child.
Kind of like on the nose, like Peanuts ending, like much in the same style of like Linus getting up and doing the speech, like it's kind of just like, all right, and now I'm just going to kind of like dryly rehearse the moral and what the actual creator of the holiday wanted you to take away from it.
Yeah, but seriously, there's something really neat here where she's given the Arbor Day speech. Where, again, it's kind of the PSA quality about Arbor Day, but again, isn't educational without being like really preachy. Like again, as I mentioned before, those kind of U.S. history ones they do later on, where it's the whole special circle around this sort of stuff. Where again, here at least it's worked in and kind of again, it's kind of framing things. Where again, we're basically using an excuse to tell some fun like kind of baseball stuff for the majority of this, but a little Arbor Day is kind of justifying what caused all that in the first place. And
sure,
it did come from a nice place to have just kind of informing the people about Arbor Day. And we have this really good line that I didn't know this. Again, I'm assuming maybe it came. I don't know if just the founder of Arbor Day here, just if he was just pulling this from someplace else. But again, if he came up with this is a really good quote because I remember you and I we've seen this quote in other places. If you seek my monument, look around you.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good quote, of course. I mean, I've seen it a couple of times. Of course, Batman v Superman is the thing that jumps to mind. But anyway, it's just kind of a little nice, but they kind of mentioning of kind of the greenery and just kind of planting for the future and everything. So it's nice.
Yeah.
And we have our coda with Charlie Brown Peppermint Patty, and this is real. I got to be honest, this is really great. The last note we hit with Charlie Brown here is about kind of the honorifics of Charlie Brown here. Again, we did gleam in the movie as well. Where it's again, it's so funny talking about this because a lot of the honorifics, again, kind of the driving motivations of Charlie Brown did bleed into the Charlie Brown movie, even though Arbor Day is just barely. It's like it's not the major holiday.
I mean, it's really not. It's just kind of just like, hey, we grow plants on this holiday, and we're going to grow plants on this iconic baseball field, and that's really about it. Right? And that's really about it. There's no like huge, like deep, like okay, we're going to just break down and have a 2-hour discussion on the psychological and cultural impact of this holiday.
No, what I mean is like in the Charlie Brown movie, like we're in the Peanuts movie, we're checking off. You're checking off kind of these boxes of all the specials that we've seen, like a reference or an homage to one of the specials, and I feel like a bit of the driving motivation that's kind of here is somewhat bled over into the movie. It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, sure.
it's like not something you would account for, but it's kind of there. Maybe it saw a little bit of inspiration here. I'm not sure because the whole like Charlie Brown not taking credit for Peppermint Patty's accomplishment in the movie is kind of something we have a little bit of here. And again, I'm bear in mind I'm stretching it. I know that, but I like this kind of conversation we have here where it's Charlie Brown saying wouldn't Peppermint Patty, oh come on Chuck, you wouldn't have wanted to win that way anyway. Just win on technicality, win on you play like you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if I'll win at anything. It's the fact that Charlie Brown's like maybe you're right, but I still wonder if I'll ever win at anything. It's a great prolific moment for Charlie Brown. The fact that I mean again I was caught up in victory, but he had the presence of mind to realize with hindsight like no it wouldn't have been a fulfilling victory because it would have been during the rain and everything. But still it's the closest I've ever been to winning. It just makes me wistful and wondering like will I ever win anything in life? Which ultimately we know, like down the line, kind of.
So continuities are tied together is up for debate, but
I know. If you want to be all semantical, it's like no, and we know categorically no, but still, it's Anyways, but this is the important part of all. So while Charlie Brown's kind of pondering this, we do have a great moment with him. Like again, while we do have a happy moment with Charlie Brown, I think there's a proper note they ended on here. Well, you did get a field named after you. And with all this pretty,
that's very true, Dragon. I like I said, I am very impressed with that field being named after Charlie Brown here because I feel like that is a legitimately pretty big accomplishment, given the fact that we've seen this field a ton throughout the fabric of these shorts.
Yeah, it's like you got a field named after you with all those pretty trees and flowers. That's the last line. That's pretty much the last line. I think followed by Happy Arbor Day Trouble. That's a good note to hit the special. You hit the special off on.
It is. It is.
It's pretty solid. It sums it up pretty well, and again, gives you a little bit of depth in the Charlie Brown's. Nice.
All right. So yeah, Dragon. I don't know how much more of these we can really do, man. I got to tell you, I was this one. It's fine. It's not the deepest thing in the world, and really kind of like recapping it, I kind of realized like, oh yeah, this is there's not a lot that happens here. I mean, there is definitely some good Charlie Brown character work at play with the whole thematic idea of just barely being on the precipice of getting what you want, but not quite achieving that. But like I said, Dragon, the big problem is that next to nothing actually happens because of Arbor Day specifically. So it's just kind of like this weird middle ground of a holiday special for me where it's like I like a lot of the parts of it. The Arbor Day part in itself is just kind of like I feel like you could run this exact same plot for the most part and just not even ever mention Arbor Day.
And that's absolutely fair point because basically it's the shenanigans. Okay, someone had the idea of turning the baseball field into a garden, which not
exactly. Yeah.
The only reason it's Arbor Day is because basically we use Sally as the inciting incident. If you took that scene out, it would just pretty much play like an episode of the Charlie Brown Snoopy show. That's the difference.
So, Dragon, at the end of the day, like I said, this isn't a bad sketch, but I feel like it is kind of like as far as the holiday sketch goes, like it's definitely better than the New Year's one for sure. But I mean, it's not up there with the best of them whatsoever. I mean, it's pretty far at the bottom of the pack.
Sure. Sure. I mean, probably a rung up above New Year's though, right?
Yes, a rung up above New Year's, but I honestly can't think of a one besides New Year's that I like this one better than.
Well, look, for me, again, this to me was better than I remember. Bear in mind, it's been years since I've seen it, so I'm not sure how much it's saying. But again, points I have kind of was a little refreshing watching again. But I cop to your point. So yeah, it's pretty much it doesn't need to be Arbor's Day, but it's kind of a I don't know, it's kind of a noble message in what they're going for there, and it doesn't really hurt anything. The fact that it is it's kind of tied into Arbor Day and it kind of puts things into place. Again, it's kind of it's like technically Arbor Day, but it's fun. It's kind of making. It's again, they kind of struck a really interesting balance where we're not just boring people with like forcing the holiday down your throat, or just kind of like educating the people. It's like it's little factoids of education that's kind of filled into with some fun peanut stuff on the side there. Kind of makes it more palatable and kind of again, it's kind of what you want in something that's kind of naturally a little educational. By the same token, it's it's just kind of peanuts being very true to themselves. Maybe a bit. Again, maybe it's a little bit. prolonged in certain places a little bit in terms basically the filler quality is what I'm getting with prolonged. Like, yeah, there's a little fillery, but again, it's not necessarily, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's like, yeah, we're kind of like when I say prolonged and filler, I mean like we know Charlie Brown's doomed, but by the same token, like that adds like the height of the fall for Charlie Brown. Like we the audience know this, and maybe it lingers on that a little bit too much. Like it's the main gripe I could maybe lob at the thing, but I don't really want to lob that because again, it's not really, again, it's filler, but you accept it.
Yeah, for sure.
Voice cast is a little, it's a little dicey for sure. It's like not obviously not the best cast they got, but again, it's not just like it's not. I don't know, it's not the worst thing I've heard from them because again, voice cast it can kind of shift depending on what some characters are better known as. But I mean, out of the whole, like I don't know, maybe it's kind of a lower tier of kind of kid cast for of the Peanuts. But again, the fact of the matter is, again, the big driving force is Charlie Brown almost wins, and it's very relatable. It kind of has that relatable signature of Charlie Brown as a character, and then the Peanuts being all true to character and everything versus something like New Year's. That's the main takeaway I really had from this. I had a better time watching this than I have with New Year's, which if I told myself this a couple of years ago, I wouldn't believe myself. I wouldn't. Because like New Year's, like yeah, you always watch. I would have this conversation. It's like, hey, you should watch Arbor Day again, and you're gonna like it better than New Year's. Just watch New Year's, then watch Arbor Day. See how you feel about it. Well, wait a minute. I mean, I watch New Year's every year. I never go back to Arbor Day. So the logic dictates I'm going to like New Year's better than the one I don't watch. I hardly watch. Of course, it's retroactive. Again, I'm just kind of mind blown by. Yeah, it's solid. Like, is it? It's solid, and it's kind of a better celebration of that holiday than the New Year's was. Where New Year's was just basically a War and Peace joke. That it was kind of the War and Peace strip, just surrounded by stuff that's like, yeah, not quite my Peanuts. Not quite the A material of the Peanuts. Is it completely like fragrant and like this isn't the Peanuts at all? I can't say that in good conscience. No. Is Mayflower stuff like violation of the Peanuts? I'd say yes.
But, oh God.
But the point being, Arbor Day is kind of.
Oh boy.
My point is, Arbor Day is just it's kind of harmless fun, and again, kind of a nice little celebration. Arbor Day could have been a little bit more deep and a little bit more holiday focused, sure, but it's Arbor Day. What more can you do?
Exactly, it's Arbor Day. It's like it's not like people are like waking up like, oh man, that Charlie Brown special better have like every little iota of what I live and breathe for when it comes to this holiday, or else I'm going to be really upset.
Because, I mean, look, it could have been really preachy, but like, Charlie Brown, how dare you dislike what we've done to this field? You're a terrible person. Like, that would have been awful, right? You can't make like a whole environment. It would have been like preachy and like there's PSA and then there's preachy. This is PSA, what we got here, which is great, versus preachy. We're like, we have to save the environment, we got to save trees. We turned the baseball and field into something, and you didn't like it. Therefore, we're all turning against you. Like, that would have been terrible, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And again, I'm saying like that's just like again, I don't know if that's what they ever would have done in any reality, but that's the fact of the matter. So again, it could have things if they really tried to like overemphasize the importance of Arbor Day, it would have felt a little phony. I think there's just kind of an honesty and just kind of keeping it low.
It would have felt phony. It would have felt force fed. It would have felt preachy about everything else, and the Peanuts, if anything else, it's like they're very saccharine at times. They're filled with good messages and good morals, but they're never really preachy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of hit it just right for kind of an under the radar holiday, and they kind of gave it its due without going overboard. I think it's kind of where it ends up for me,
Okay. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us on this so important of holidays. Like, we truly hope that we lived up to the legacy of Arbor Day Dragon. I mean, it's like, my God, I can just feel like the importance just building up on my shoulders about representing this great holiday of ours. But of course, folks, in all seriousness, I mean, building up to this week, we've got a Just Giggle It grab bag tomorrow. After that, it's going to be all endgame all the time for the foreseeable future, including, egads, what is this, Dragon? A DC endgame?
Yes.
Teaser. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a happy Arbor Day. Have a happy Earth Day. Go out and see that Penguins movie to support it, even though Morgan Freeman's not narrating it. And have a good night, everyone. See y'all later.
I am Groot.